I'm joined now by Congressman Mike Rogers, Republican chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Welcome.
Thank you.
From your perspective, well, we've heard a ramping up of the rhetoric by the administration. How significant a threat is ISIS?
Oh, it's a very real threat. And you saw the very barbaric behavior. And one of the problems is it's gone unabated for nearly 2 years. And that draws people from Britain to across Europe, even the United States, to go and join the fight. They see that as a winning ideology, a winning strategy, and they want to be a part of it. And that's what makes it so dangerous. They are one plane ticket away from U.S. shores. And that's why we're so concerned about it.
But we've heard the Pentagon say that right now they are not in a position to launch an attack on the United States. Is there any credible intelligence that ISIS is either planning that or has the capability to do it?
Well, I'm going to dispute that. So we know that in the number 2,000 of Westerners with Western passports is low. Intelligence has a very different number, and it's much higher than that. And the very fight between al-Qaeda that allowed ISIS to separate from al-Qaeda in Syria was the fact that they wanted to conduct Western-style operations. Zawahiri, the leader of al-Qaeda, said, no, we want you to focus on Syria. That's what started the fight. So this notion that they were too barbaric is almost laughable, given that al-Qaeda flew airplanes and slaughtered 3,000 people on 9/11. It was all about direction, control of those individuals. What they were saying at the time was, we have a lot of people who have passports that could go to Europe and then to the United States without a visa waiver, meaning they wouldn't have to apply for a visa. The only way we would know is by looking at who was riding on those airplanes, and that might not be enough. And so they were believing at the time that they could be aggressive in that, and they still talk about that. If you know, even their rhetoric is, we're still going to conduct a Western-style attack. And remember, al-Qaeda wants to put some points on the board because they want to be the jihadist organization that attracts people and money, and ISIS has said that they are and want to be the al-Qaeda or the terrorist organization that attracts.
But aren't we, Congressman, significantly safer than we were on 9/11 in terms of being able to keep those kinds of threats out of the United States?
Well, we have a better system of trying to do it, but we're just not configured. We, the United States Intelligence Services and Department of Defense and administrative policy, is not configured in a way to continue a tempo that allows disruption. The reason ISIS is so successful is there was nothing deterring them for years. So they recruited, they financed, they trained. All of that was happening. And so, yeah, we might be okay if we can continue to the posture that we're in from a defensive posture. But remember, they get new recruits every single day. And what's dangerous, think of this. If that's a British citizen, we believe it was, you have somebody that was watching and participating in the whole exercise of making that video. That individual goes back home and again, buys one plane ticket. They're in the United States. We may or may not know who that individual is. That's what's so dangerous about this and why we can't let them continue unabated.
So what do we do about it? We've seen what the UK has done, for example. They've been revoking passports of UK citizens who have gone over to Syria to fight so they can't come back west. Obviously, the president is considering a whole range of options. We already have airstrikes in Iraq. Questions about whether there should be airstrikes in Syria. Should there, for example, be more small teams of special ops on the ground to gather more intelligence? What do we do now?
Yeah, there's no mulligans in foreign policy. And if you look at the way the administration last year changed the bureaucratic role of our operators engaging in disruption activities against terrorism, both al-Qaeda and ISIS, it's caused a problem. We need to regroup. Again, we are not configured, our intelligence services and our Department of Defense, to be more disruptive. So we have to back up. We need to engage our Arab League partners who have as much a problem and as much a stake in this as we do. They will still cut their heads off and put them on spikes as well. We need to engage them in a more robust campaign against the safe haven in eastern Syria, and again, continue to engage in Iraq. It can't be about the dam. It can't be about an individual who was so brutally murdered. These are individuals who have killed thousands of people, summarial executions, beheadings. They've sold women into slavery, and they're going to continue to do that because they believe they're winning. That disruptive activity is critically important. The president's going to need to change his policy. This is an opportunity for the president to take a step back, change his presidential guidance on how we disrupt terrorism around the world, including al-Qaeda, that has been slowing down. We have missed dozens and dozens of opportunities to take really bad people off the battlefield in the last 2 years.
Are you confident that the United States is in a position to defeat ISIS?
We have the capability to defeat it. We now have to have the political will, and we have to have the policy to do it. We have the first. We don't have the second two.
Chairman Mike Rogers, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much. Well, as you just heard, this has gotten a lot more complicated because you have these Westerners who want to